Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, residents in Port Lavaca say minor violations now mean handcuffs, not tickets. The string of unusual arrests. Plus, George W. Bush remembers Dick Cheney as more than his public image, the funeral bringing together political rivals. And Border Patrol secretly tracks millions of American drivers nationwide, the algorithm flagging your travel patterns.
Well, the stormy weather is arriving in Texas. In fact, already in the hill country and the high plains, we've had some serious rainfall. Menard has had 7 inches of rain. There's flooding there. How close is it to our area, and when will it get here? We'll have all that coming up for you coming up in just a few minutes. Back to you.
Plus, a Texas trooper risks his life to stop a wrong-way cyber truck. The dash cam video of a split-second decision. You're watching 25 News Now at 5. Good afternoon and thanks for being with us. I'm Shawna Currie. Well, people in Port Lavaca are raising eyebrows after a string of arrests for what are usually minor violations, the kind that typically end with a ticket, not handcuffs. A group of friends say they were hanging out at a house when officers suddenly showed up earlier this week. Before they knew it, the men were being arrested for things like parking the wrong way, walking on the wrong side of the road, and even not wearing a seatbelt as a passenger, violations that normally mean a ticket or fine. All 5 ended up booked into the Calhoun County Jail, and this isn't the first time residents say that has happened for ticket-only offenses. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6, we hear from one of the men involved and find out what happened in the middle of our interview. Storms moving slowly across the south could affect parts of Texas, already devastated by deadly flooding in July. More than 5 inches of rain could fall in some locations today, which is enough to trigger flooding. A level 3 out of 4 risk of flooding rainfall is in place for the Texas Hill Country. The rest of central and northern Texas could see localized flooding. After drying out a couple days, a second round of rain is expected to arrive in Texas after the weekend. So let's go to Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez to find out when we'll start seeing some of this rainfall in the crossroads. And Mac, in West Texas, they've already seen over 6 inches of rain just today. So when are we going to start seeing those showers?
Well, it looks like closer to midnight tonight, that activity will start getting close to our area. Now, here's I-35. You see right there. The closest activity is just about to the west of Waco and Austin and rolling down the hill country into almost San Antonio. So we have had tremendous rainfall up here in the upper Colorado River Valley, where in the Menard area they had tremendous rainfall earlier this day and beginning last night. All of this activity will be definitely becoming a problem because once it gets over I-35, means that we're going to be looking at that. So I believe it's tonight, stormy weather through tomorrow. And if you don't believe me, stick around a little bit. You'll see that thunder and lightning start rolling in sometime this evening. So we'll have more on that coming up in just a moment.
Today is the funeral of former Vice President Dick Cheney. All living vice presidents are expected to be in attendance except the Vice President J.D. Vance. Cheney died on November 3rd after complications with pneumonia and cardiac and vascular disease. ABC's Perry Russum reports from the National Cathedral in Washington.
Believeth in me shall never die.
At the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C., the funeral of former Vice President Dick Cheney. Born in Lincoln, Nebraska, growing up in Wyoming, Cheney rose the ranks in Washington, from White House Chief of Staff for President Gerald Ford to 5-term congressman from Wyoming, Secretary of Defense, and Vice President under George W. Bush.
I remember my dad's words when I told him what I was planning. He said, "Son, you couldn't pick a better man."
The former president remembering the man who reshaped the power of the vice presidency.
Dick was funny and easygoing in a style that his public image never caught up with. Though we can all agree he wasn't your standard issue politician.
After 9/11, the polarizing Cheney played a leading role in the war on terror and the invasion of Iraq.
We have a regime that is busy enhancing its capabilities in the field of chemical and biological agents.
No weapons of mass destruction were found in Iraq. In these last few years, he became one of the loudest Republican voices criticizing President Trump.
There has never been an individual who is a greater threat to our republic than Donald Trump.
His daughter, former Congresswoman Liz Cheney, another critic of Trump, speaking during the service.
Though he was inspired to service by President Kennedy, Dick Cheney became a Republican. But he knew that bonds of party must always yield to the single bond we share as Americans.
President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance were not invited to today's funeral. All other living vice presidents were invited, including Mike Pence, Trump's first VP. Perry Russum, ABC News, Washington.
The Associated Press uncovered a secret Border Patrol program quietly tracking millions of American drivers, not just near the border, but nationwide. Cameras log your license plate, and an algorithm flags suspicious travel patterns, where you went, how long you stayed, even who you met. That's how a Houston man, Alex Scott, ended up pulled over and searched for more than an hour. Deputies found nothing, and he later learned the stop came from a Border Patrol tip. Critics say the system sweeps up innocent people. Border Patrol says it's about national security. Scott has filed a lawsuit that is still pending. A Texas DPS trooper risks his life to stop a wrong-way driver on the Dallas North Tollway near Frisco. Dash camera video from early Sunday morning shows the trooper blocking traffic lanes after sensors detected a Cybertruck traveling south in the northbound lanes. The trooper positioned his vehicle directly in the path of the oncoming truck, forcing other drivers to safety just seconds before impact.
You know, when you have headlights coming straight at you on a highway, that's a pretty scary thought.
Well, the wrong-way driver was arrested for driving while intoxicated less than a mile from this close call. The toll reader sensors first detected the vehicle and alerted DPS. No injuries were reported in the incident. If you see news happening, give our newsroom a call at 361-576-0026 or send an email to staff@crossroadstoday.com. Plus, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Stay with us. Straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5. Your mouth is the gateway to major health issues, how dental bacteria spreads throughout your body. Plus, the CDC quietly updates its vaccine autism language. The website changes, contradicting decades of research.
In Edna, one woman is redefining what it means to grow success from the ground up.
You know, getting to wake up with your best friend in the morning and being able to spend time with them on the farm and doing what we love to do, it's been a very big blessing.
Her story is rooted in hard work, heart, and a little South Texas grit. Don't miss Growing Success with Shawna Currie, a 25 News Now Extra, tonight at 10 on 25 News Now.
More than 250,000 Kia sedans are being recalled over a fire risk. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says over 250,000 Kia K5 models may have a defect that causes the fuel tank to melt and leak, increasing the risk of a fire. The recall applies to 2021 to 2024 models. Drivers may notice warnings like a popping noise near the tank, a check engine light, or rough performance. Kia dealerships will inspect the cars and replace parts for free. Federal investigators say a former volunteer firefighter in New York used the gaming platform Roblox to send sexually explicit messages to minors. Court documents say Vincent Steiner spent months messaging one victim, and there are at least two identified so far that are just 12 and 13 years old. He's accused of texting, calling, and chatting with them on Roblox, asking for explicit photos and videos. Officials say it's a reminder for parents to know what platforms your children are on, how the chat features work, and consider turning these features off if needed. Well, did you notice any trouble with your favorite websites this week? Maybe ChatGPT couldn't answer your question or your Spotify playlist crashed? Well, you're not alone. Web infrastructure provider Cloudflare experienced a disruption on Tuesday that temporarily impacted a wide array of online services. Lee Waldman explains what's going on with several of these outages from different companies throughout this year.
Tuesday's Cloudflare outage isn't isolated. In fact, it's not their first outage this year. Several companies like CrowdStrike, Amazon Web Services, and Microsoft Azure have had their own complications. Experts say it's just a sign of the times.
Some of the internet's most trusted brands and most used services went down.
Tuesday's 3-hour Cloudflare disruption was likely a shock to many. From DoorDash to Uber, even President Donald Trump's Truth Social platform, they all experienced an internet outage.
Cloudflare did drop the ball on this, but mistakes do happen, right, in life, in business.
In a statement, Cloudflare says the outage was a result of a technical issue, not a cyber attack or malicious behavior. It's the latest in a string of recent outages. Amazon Web Services was hit last month, and a few days later, Microsoft's Azure service went down. Jason Heiner with ZDNet says outages like these are to be expected.
More people are using the internet. More people are using it more often than ever. More people are relying on it for more things. And so we all are also more aware every time there's any kind of blip, right? And I expect that will only increase.
While it might seem like these outages are happening more often, that's not necessarily the case. Cisco Thousand Eyes, a network monitoring service, has logged 13 major outages so far in 2025. That compares to 23 in 2024, 13 in 2023, and 10 the year prior. Although these outages are inconvenient, you can expect them to keep happening.
It's one of the challenges when you work in technology. Nobody applauds you for the fact that the site never went down or continues working or it works great, right? They only notice if there's any blip that it doesn't work.
While these outage trends aren't new, Cisco's blog post says, quote, it's been seeing more of these types of disruptions with more far-reaching consequences.
The CDC has quietly updated its website with language suggesting vaccines might cause autism, despite decades of research showing no link. One new bullet point claims the statement, vaccines do not cause autism, is not evidence-based, even though the main heading still says exactly that. A footnote says it stayed only because of an agreement with a Senate committee chair. Another new line suggests research linking vaccines and autism has been ignored, even though those studies have been repeatedly proven fraudulent or flawed. Well, it's a big part of your overall health. Even though a lot of us don't think about it much, good oral hygiene isn't just about having a nice smile. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither breaks down how your oral health can impact the rest of your body.
It involves your teeth, gums, and mouth, and having good oral health is more important than you may realize.
The mouth is the gateway to both the respiratory system and to the digestive system, and it can have implications far beyond just your teeth.
Dr. Elise Sarvis with Mayo Clinic says inflammation caused by poor oral health not only leads to things like gum disease and cavities, which can affect a person's quality of life, but that inflammation can also spread and lead to an infection in the heart, cardiovascular disease, pregnancy and birth complications, even pneumonia.
We all have bacteria in our mouths, and some are really helpful, but some bacteria, if they're allowed to overgrow or cause some disease, those bacteria can enter our bloodstreams and cause inflammation, not only in our mouths, but that inflammation can spread to the rest of the body.
Sarvis says the best way to keep your mouth healthy is to brush your teeth twice a day with a toothpaste that contains fluoride to take bacteria off teeth and strengthen them. and floss at least once a day.
And if you don't really floss your teeth, you're missing almost 40% of the surfaces of the teeth in your mouth. So it's almost like that brushing doesn't quite count all the way.
And finally, Sarva says to make sure to see a dentist at least twice a year.
That way they can do a good cleaning, but they can also have the ability to check on problems before they get out of control.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Dr. Sarvis says in addition to brushing and flossing, using mouthwash can also be helpful to remove food and debris from the mouth. She says a lot of them contain fluoride, which helps to strengthen teeth as well. To get more news, weather, and sports, come to our website, crossroadstoday.com.
Well, folks, things are going to get interesting as soon as tonight as the big weather starts heading our direction. Right now, we're at 79 degrees, still warm and windy. Managed to get up to 86 today. Not a record, but pretty close. We're supposed to be in the 70s. Well, not only do we have thunderstorms coming in tonight late, there's more tomorrow, and then we'll take a look at your Thanksgiving Day forecast because you might need a jacket by then. We'll be talking about that after this. Well, after almost a month of very quiet weather, we're back in the weather business, folks. There's quite a bit of weather, not only in Texas tonight, but also going to be headed in our direction over the next 2 weeks. Here we are in the southerly winds. That's why it was so warm. But you can see there's thunderstorms just to the west of San Antonio. In fact, they'll be just going into San Antonio right now. That long-awaited storm that basically came from Los Angeles, went through Phoenix, went through Albuquerque, is now in the Texas Panhandle. Stormy weather is out ahead of it from the Oklahoma border all the way down to the hill country and basically almost to Laredo. Then behind this system, believe it or not, comes another storm, pretty much in the same weather pattern, following it from the west. These are two Pacific storms. They're not particularly cold, but they do have moisture. And then you look further upstream, and this one is going to come into the northern plains and then really push down some cold air just in time for Thanksgiving. We'll be talking about those 7 days coming up in a moment. Well, here you are, and you can see how we've had just a few little sprinkles around the area tonight. But as we go up to San Antonio and Bexar County, you can see the storms are just beginning to move ashore. As a matter of fact, from I-35, there's Waco, there's Killeen, there's Austin. You can see the stormy weather rolling all the way down. As this line moved through the high plains near San Angelo, we had some tremendous rainfall in a place called Menard. That is on the upper Colorado River. Now here we're looking at the last hour. Here you got Austin, here the big storms. You can see the little plus signs. That's the lightning strikes that we've gotten within the hour. So the heavy stuff is over Round Mountain, Johnson City, down to Blanco, and then farther south. As a matter of fact, as you go even farther south, Bexar County to the northwest, lots of thunder and lightning right about there up in Welfare, Comfort, basically the Kerrville area. Now, let me show you the map. This is very impressive. This is the streak that happened about midnight last night when the Gulf air, which kept blowing north, ran into that instability from that west coast storm. Look at that. Amazing. 4 to 7 inches of rain fell right about here, exactly where the Storm Prediction Lab expected the big bullseye of stormy weather. We have flooding problems along the San Saba River. For those of you that know that area of the world, Maynard, those areas, and here's sort of the good news. All of this tremendous water is going to go into the Colorado River Valley, so it's going to fill the Highland Lakes above Austin and then the lower Colorado River as well. So it's an interesting development that we went from drought to flood in about a day and a half. There's all the counties that are still under flood watches. We don't have one up here, but I think that's going to be changing during the night as that activity crosses over the I-35 corridor. So tonight, not very warm, not very cold. In fact, tomorrow will be warm again, almost near records, but you got to look at these forecasts because it's complicated. Now, first of all, tomorrow we're looking for cloud cover and scattered thunder showers around the area for Friday. In Cuero, you're going to have thunder showers around the area again on Friday. But watch this. Frontal system number 1 for stormy weather Friday and Saturday. A little bit of a break Sunday. Another front comes in on Monday and Tuesday, and then temperatures drop off the table with the high temperature on Thanksgiving Day looking at about 68 degrees with a low down into the 40s, so a cold snap coming after several days of potential rain showers in the crossroads. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have this QR code. Love for you to scan that, put Crossroads Today on your phone, and we'll toss it back to Shawna.
Still to come, employers add double the expected jobs in September, the delayed report that sent stocks soaring. That's next. $86 points. The price of oil also dropped by 52 cents to $58.73 per barrel. Well, a better than expected jobs report today. The U.S. adding 119,000 jobs in the month of September. As ABC's Perry Russum reports, the stock market surging this morning before dipping into the red.
The first jobs report since the government shutdown shows employers hiring far more workers than expected. 119,000 jobs added in September. That's more than double what analysts were forecasting.
This was a long delayed jobs report, delayed for 6 weeks due to the government shutdown.
Vice President J.D. Vance says the numbers show President Trump's economic policies are working.
And as much progress as we've made, it's going to take a little bit of time for every American to feel that economic boom, which we really do believe is coming.
The White House today also pointing to Trump's tax cuts and trade deals as a reason for the better than expected jobs report.
Nearly all of this solid monthly job growth came from the private sector and went to Americans rather than foreign-born workers.
It comes as Amazon, UPS, and Verizon have had mass layoffs in recent weeks. Those numbers will be reflected in future jobs reports. The positive jobs news today sending stocks soaring at the opening bell before dipping into the red. Even with more jobs being added, the unemployment rate is also rising now at 4.4%, the highest rate since October 2021. Perry Russum, ABC News, Washington.
Sales of previously owned homes ticked up last month. The National Association of Realtors says existing home sales rose 1.2% in October, the highest level since February, as lower mortgage rates pulled more buyers back in. Rates had been falling ahead of the expected Fed rate cuts in September and October, but they've started creeping up again as investors wait to see what the Fed does in December. This week, the average 30-year fixed rate bumped up to 6.26%. Well, more Americans are turning to Walmart to stretch their dollars during the affordability crunch. In its latest quarterly report, the company says U.S. sales are jumping up 4.5% last quarter, and it's pulling market share from competitors. Walmart says more people are visiting its store and they're spending more when they do. The company even raised its sales and profit outlook, expecting a strong holiday season. Walmart's massive scale has helped it keep prices low while investing in higher pay, cleaner stores, and a stronger online shopping network. Meanwhile, Verizon employees are bracing for a huge round of layoffs. The company says it's cutting 13,000 positions as part of the new CEO's transformation plan. That's 13% of the total staff. Dan Schulman took the helm at the wireless and internet company last month. He says the layoffs will extend across all businesses and will allow the company to focus on growing its customer base. Verizon has been facing increased competition from T-Mobile and AT&T in recent years. The company's stock has also lost a third of its value since 2020. The Bureau of Labor Statistics releasing the long-delayed September jobs report today. The results were mixed. The report was delayed because of the government shutdown. The U.S. economy added 119,000 jobs in September, an unexpected rebound for the labor market. But unemployment rose to 4.4%, a nearly four-year high. The report also showed the ongoing effects of cuts to the federal workforce. About 3,000 government jobs were lost in September, the 8th straight month of losses in that sector. Well, inmates get productive work while dogs get new lives. We'll take a look at the Chicago program with a waiting list of agencies. That's coming up.
The clock now ticking to release the Jeffrey Epstein files following President Trump's signature. What happens next? Plus, the first major report on the U.S. economy since the shutdown. What it signals heading into the holidays. World News Tonight with David Muir is the most watched newscast in America.
A unique program at a Chicago jail is transforming lives on both ends of the leash. Detainees train rescue dogs in basic obedience and therapy skills, getting the animals ready for adoption or service with law enforcement agencies. That dog is loving it. The Sheriff's Tales of Redemption program gives inmates productive work while they await trial. The program produces therapy dogs that would typically cost agencies $15,000 to $20,000 to have trained. 9 therapy dogs have graduated from the program, with 6 more currently in training. You see some of them there. Training takes 2.5 to 3 months per dog, with a waiting list of agencies hoping to receive the well-trained animals. I think that's a pretty neat program. Like, these are rescue dogs that are being trained to, you know.
There are so many things that are, you know, people who are incarcerated should be learning, can be learning, and this is one of them too. I wish I knew how to handle it.
The responsibility and just the,
that's
you know,
all it is.
Yeah.
And then, you know, a future and employment,
The
something to
dedication
look
that
forward
goes into
to.
it, yeah.
That's good stuff.
And they get to love on them.
Well,
I mean, you got to love that too, right?
That's part of the thing that makes the bond there between the animal and the human. Well, folks, we are getting ready for quite a bit of weather. It's already been stormy in much of Texas. Now, we expect a weak front to come in sometime tomorrow. We're looking at thunder showers already just west of San Antonio that should be visiting us overnight and into Friday. Then Saturday, still a little on the destabilized side, and then more rain on Monday, Tuesday, and then it gets cold just in time for Thanksgiving. So that's going to be good. We can pull out our sweaters and gather by the kitchen and watch them bake the turkeys there.
All right, but overnight rain expected around midnight?
After midnight.
After midnight, okay. Well, thanks for being with us. We'll see you back at 6.